Chosen one. No one saw this coming, not even the bank. This is the moment no one expected. Not your neighbor, not the system, not even the bank that thought it had you figured out. Something is moving unseen, unmeasured, and undeniably divine. The suddenness of it is shocking, but it's not without warning. You felt it in your spirit, haven't you? That unsettling calm, like something huge, was quietly preparing to arrive. And now that something is here, it's not a rumor. It's not wishful thinking. It's not a maybe. It's a reality that has arrived silently, powerfully, and supernaturally, and it has your name all over it. Chosen one, watch this video until the end because the energy inside of it is not just information, it's ignition. And write your warmest wishes in the comments and write amen along with the number 99. This is not just an expression, it's an agreement. This is a portal for divine alignment. This is where wishes come true. This is where the unseen realm syncs with your belief, your vibration, your hunger for breakthrough. Don't underestimate what your words carry. They are signals. They are magnets. And today they are keys to unlock what the banks couldn't forecast. Your divine transfer. Now chosen one, like this video. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's begin. They thought the system had you. They thought the algorithms could predict your outcome. But what no data can compute is the supernatural. What no financial formula can account for is divine intervention. The transfer that is showing up in your life did not originate from paper trails or interest calculations. It did not come from man's schedule or economic forecasts. It came from God's decision. Sovereign, exact, and irreversible. The vaults of heaven opened, and while the systems on earth scrambled to adjust their numbers, the wealth was already en route to you. There was no press release, no forecast from the analysts, no internal memo at the bank. And yet, your name surfaced in places they never intended to mention. You became the target of a divine instruction. God rerouted abundance, bypassed expected channels, and landed it in your sphere. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a misfire. It wasn't a glitch in the matrix. It was a heavenly override, an intentional move by the divine to shock the very institutions that thought they held dominion over your life's outcomes. The irony is thick. The very place that calculated your insufficiency is now processing your overflow. The very bank that denied your potential is now printing out statements that can't explain your new balance. The software is stunned. The algorithms are confused. The numbers are correct, but the origin is unknown. Why? Because heaven doesn't leave a paper trail. God moves in mystery. And his fingerprints don't leave smudges. They leave revelations. There's someone watching this right now who has been feeling unexplainable peace. A strange calm has wrapped itself around you. That's not passivity. That's prophetic confirmation. You've been prepared internally for something externally explosive. You've been marked for something bigger than routine upgrades. You're not receiving a deposit. You're receiving an instruction. Because when God releases overflow, he attaches an assignment to it. And only the chosen ones will discern that what's being transferred is not just currency. It's a command. A call to higher territory. A call to prove that the wealth was meant to reveal his glory. God is not just transferring money. He is transferring a message through you. You are the message. You are the proof that the limits were illusions. You are the reason the system will have to rewrite its rules because you didn't win by the book. You didn't climb by the ladder. You were elevated by the word. What they didn't factor into their projections was the sudden wind of heaven. And when that wind moves, it doesn't just carry funds. It carries names, and yours, chosen one, has been carried to the front. You're not experiencing a moment. You're stepping into a movement, a divine movement that defies all logic and explains nothing in earthly language. The numbers won't add up. The timing won't make sense. The deposits will seem disconnected from your activity, but don't panic. That's how heaven works. The shock is part of the signature. God moves like that. Unexpected, undeniable, and unstoppable. The bank will have to adjust. The codes will have to recalibrate. The alerts will be triggered, but they'll never find the source. Because what's coming into your life is not traceable by earthly means. It's celestial in origin. This isn't something that's processing, it's already done. But God didn't announce it. He concealed it until this very moment because you had to be ready in silence. He had to work it while no one was watching. Chosen one, this is the manifestation you weren't even trying to calculate anymore. You stopped checking. You stopped refreshing the app. You surrendered. And that's when it began. In the stillness of your surrender, the vault opened. Not with noise, not with sirens, but with silence that shook the heavens. God didn't need to make it loud. He needed to make it lasting. What's arriving is beyond your expectations, but not beyond your preparation. Your life was built for this. Your hands were trained for this moment. The spiritual endurance you developed wasn't for survival. It was for stewardship. You're not just about to receive, you're about to carry. And what you carry, you will multiply. Because heaven never sends us seed without expecting a harvest. Stay ready. Stay still. Don't try to explain it. You won't be able to. The truth is, you're not the only one shocked. The bank is too. The system is, the watchers are. No one saw this coming. Not even those who tracked your every move. Because God doesn't move on visible paths. He moves in secret dimensions. And when he releases a thing, it doesn't knock first. It invades. The moment this transfer touched your life, something shifted in the invisible realm. You didn't just receive a financial miracle, you entered a different dimension of existence. One where your name carries weight, not just in conversations, but in rooms you haven't walked into yet. Heaven has authorized your entry into a realm of dominion that the world thought you'd never access. And the most astounding part, this entire operation was kept so silent, so divinely hidden, that even the financial institutions weren't prepared to process it. You're not simply walking into new territory, you're being escorted. Angels have already gone ahead of you, the systems are being prepped. The digital grids are realigning, the algorithms are glitching not because of error, but because of divine override. The limits you used to live under no longer exist. What once blocked you has been erased from your path entirely. God didn't just open a door, he vaporized the wall, and now the access is unrestricted. The flow is continual, and the supply is ordained. Every number in your account now carries a prophecy attached to it. This isn't ordinary money. This isn't about digits on a screen. This is legacy wealth, holy provision, kingdom-funded currency assigned for divine operation. It's not meant to sit still. It's meant to move mountains, and it has come with spiritual instructions encoded in silence. Only the chosen ones can interpret what to do next. That's why you were prepared in isolation. So when the alert came, your spirit wouldn't panic. It would discern. The ones who once laughed, the ones who watched you struggle and made assumptions, the ones who thought you'd never escape the financial trap, they won't know how to process this shift, but they were never meant to. This wasn't their story. This was your covenant. A private contract between your faith and God's promise. A covenant activated by your pain, your patience, your persistence. You bled for this silently. You fasted for this without applause. You trusted without evidence. And now the return has arrived. But this is not payback in the way the world defines it. This is positioning. God is placing you in places where influence is currency, where your voice will unlock gates, where your presence will shift atmospheres. The wealth is not the destination, it's the tool. And you are the vessel refined by fire and now shining with glory that no system can take credit for. You weren't funded by favor alone, you were commissioned by heaven. This is what makes your breakthrough so shocking. You didn't campaign for it. You didn't negotiate for it. You were chosen for it. This divine deposit was never about chance. It was about timing. God was waiting for the exact second when the world would least expect your rise. And he released it like lightning. Swift, untraceable, and undeniable. Even the banks are reacting to what they cannot see. Internal systems are flagging amounts they don't understand. Notifications are popping up in unusual patterns. They're scrambling to find the source, unaware that the source is divine. And what's divine cannot be tracked, taxed, or explained. It can only be witnessed. And now you are becoming a living witness of the supernatural provision of God. The rules they follow don't apply to the realm you've entered. Their equations can't solve this mystery. Their spreadsheets can't balance what heaven is pouring out. This is the overflow that was prophesied. The kind that silences critics and awakens watchers. The kind that humbles the proud and lifts the faithful. The kind that makes even hardened hearts pause and whisper. That had to be God. Chosen one, your life has become the epicenter of a miracle. And this miracle was designed to shock. It's not accidental that your name is showing up in financial offices and digital dashboards. Your presence is now a part of divine data. Heaven's algorithm marked you for elevation, and Earth is only now catching up. It was always coming. You just didn't see it until now, but God saw it. He scripted it. He protected it. He watched over every cent, every sequence, every signature required to release this into your hands. He blocked access from premature exposure. He sealed your abundance behind layers of divine timing. And now the seal is broken. Not by force, not by manipulation, but by fulfillment. The time was reached. The hour was set. And you, chosen one, are the beneficiary. There are updates coming to your bank that won't be preceded by warning signs. They won't be explained in push notifications or text messages. Some of them may show up delayed in the system, but already confirmed in the spirit. This isn't a normal transaction. This is a wealth event. And wealth events operate by heaven's calendar, not man's timeline. You might even see pending balances that fluctuate, figures that appear then disappear, only to return stronger. Don't let it shake you. The natural realm is trying to catch up with the supernatural release. The numbers may look unstable at first, but what's anchoring them is immovable. You are now operating on divine equity. God backed this. God guaranteed it. And when God funds something, it comes with eternity's seal. This shock wasn't meant to be destructive. It was designed to be instructive. It's showing you what's possible when heaven moves. It's revealing how powerful silent faith really is. You didn't need to announce your preparation. You didn't need to prove your loyalty. Your obedience was louder than your words, and your reward has become louder than your opposition. The vaults were watching you, not just banks, but spiritual vaults. Every time you honored God while being overlooked, something in heaven unlocked. Every time you stayed faithful in seasons of lack, something shifted in the timeline. Every time you gave from your little, you stored up more than you knew. And now those vaults are bursting. Quietly, yes, but undeniably. This isn't a season, it's a shift. And you can't return to the previous version of you. That chapter closed the moment the alert arrived. Not just the one on your phone, but the one in your soul. You felt it before you saw it. That stirring, that stillness, that knowing. That was the pre-shock. That was heaven's whisper that said, brace yourself. Everything's about to change. The accounts that held you hostage are losing their grip. The debts that tried to define you are being swallowed by supernatural provision. The poverty you were groomed to accept is being drowned in divine overflow. You're not becoming rich. You're becoming whole. Because this kind of abundance isn't just about money. It's about healing the places that never knew ease. It's about restoring the parts of you that always had to fight. Now the fight is over. Now the tide has turned. Now the system is looking for answers it will never find. Because no one saw this coming. There are moments in history where a shift takes place so profoundly, so suddenly, that it shakes not just individuals, but institutions. This is one of those moments. Not because of a global event, not because of a policy change, but because of a divine release that slipped through the cracks of earthly control. What's unfolding in your life now wasn't meant to follow protocol. It wasn't sent to blend in. It was sent to stand out radically, undeniably, and powerfully. This is why even the bank is baffled, not because of an error, but because of an encounter. You see, divine provision doesn't knock politely. It arrives with authority. And when it hits, it overrides rules, breaks timelines, and redefines expectations. The system isn't malfunctioning, it's adjusting to your new reality. A reality God designed outside the bounds of probability. A reality tailored to your faith, not your finances. Chosen one. The very networks that once filtered you out are now being reconfigured to accommodate your presence. The notifications you used to dread are now becoming confirmations. The alerts that once triggered anxiety are turning into announcements of increase. This isn't just about your account, it's about your assignment. Because what's coming in isn't just wealth, it's weight. The kind of weight that makes your name carry influence. The kind of weight that turns watchers into believers. You are walking proof that divine timing cannot be rushed, but once it hits, nothing can stop it. The people who once counted you out didn't just miscalculate your potential, they miscalculated God's plan. And that plan was never meant to make sense to them. It was hidden in plain sight, wrapped in delay, guarded by silence, and activated by the one thing you never lost. Faith. Faith is what held the line. Faith is what kept your vision alive. Faith is what whispered soon, even when nothing around you looked promising. And now that faith has manifested into overflow so overwhelming, the systems responsible for managing money can't even properly process it. That's why the alerts don't match the deposits. That's why the timelines don't match the balances. Because what's happening is prophetic, not procedural. It's divine order in the midst of worldly confusion. It's heavenly acceleration that skipped all logical checkpoints. It's the kind of shift that makes people stop and wonder how. But the truth is, it was never about how. It was always about who. And the who is God, the author, the provider, the one who signs blessings with invisible ink and delivers them with thunder and silence. They'll try to trace it. They'll dig through files, check security flags, search for digital footprints, but they'll never find it. Because this wealth wasn't stored in databases. It was stored in glory. And glory doesn't need clearance codes. It only needs divine alignment. That's what you've been walking in. Quiet alignment, hidden preparation, silent progress until now. Now the veil has been lifted. Now the release has gone live. Now you're living in the manifestation of promises that were whispered to you in your lowest moments. Promises you held on to when there was no evidence. Promises you refused to bury even when your reality said otherwise. And that refusal was the seed. That tenacity was the signal. And heaven responded. The banks may not admit it, but something changed in their atmosphere the moment your name came up. Something glitched. Something paused. Something recalibrated. Not because of a hack, but because of a heavenly hack. A divine insertion that bypassed all the old codes. Because God isn't updating the system, He's rewriting it. And your breakthrough is the first chapter of the new script. This is why the enemy tried so hard to distract you before this happened. Because the enemy knew if you ever saw what God really had planned, you would never play small again. You would never settle. You would never doubt your worth. So he sent delays, doubts, confusion, and detours. But even those were used by God. Every closed door, every rejection, every not yet became a part of your divine resume. And now you're hired by heaven for the assignment you were born to carry. This deposit isn't just money, it's validation, it's confirmation. It's the signature of heaven saying, "We approve. Proceed and proceed you will." Not with fear, not with hesitation, but with the boldness of someone who knows they've been sent. Don't expect everyone to celebrate. Some won't understand. Others will pretend they always believed. But none of that matters now. What matters is that the transfer has been made. What matters is that the silence has ended. What matters is that the bank has no choice but to process what God already approved. The earthly system is just catching up to heaven's release. It's not your job to explain the unexplainable. It's not your role to make it make sense to those who never carried your burden. Let the results speak. Let the evidence shine. Let the overflow do the talking. Because this isn't just money in your account. It's glory on your life. and glory cannot be hidden. You've crossed the threshold. You're now in a place where miracles feel normal, where the impossible bends to your presence, where favor follows you like a shadow. This is the result of divine decision. And divine decisions don't get delayed, they get delivered. So walk boldly, chosen one. The banks are watching. The world is watching. And heaven is applauding. What's happening in your life is a revelation, a divine unveiling of everything that has been building in secret. For too long, you moved silently, faithfully, without applause. You weren't trying to prove anything. You weren't chasing validation. You were simply obeying a call that couldn't be heard by those around you. And now that obedience has brought you to this, an unexpected financial flood that not even the bank saw coming. And it's only the beginning. The shockwaves haven't even finished rippling through the system. Behind the scenes, protocols are being rewritten. Teams are meeting, scratching their heads, wondering how and why this shift occurred, but they won't find a reason because this was never about logic. It was about legacy. God didn't move because you earned it by worldly standards. He moved because He appointed you. He made a decision in the throne room, and the earth had no choice but to follow that decision. This is why you felt such heavy pressure before the breakthrough. The wait wasn't a punishment, it was a preview. God was letting you feel the spiritual tension of what was about to break open. That discomfort you endured, it was labor. And what's been born into your life now isn't just money, it's movement. A move of God that you carry everywhere you go. You're not just rich, you're redefined. The identity you now carry cannot be separated from the wealth you walk in. Because this wealth isn't just about comfort. It's about confirmation. Confirmation that your prayers were heard, that your tears were counted, that your silence wasn't ignored, and now you've entered into the beyond season, beyond limits, beyond scarcity, beyond surviving. God released more than funds. He released the next version of you, the version that commands attention without speaking, the version that walks into banks and breaks their molds, the version that doesn't ask for access because access has already been granted. You don't need to convince anyone. The evidence will appear in your life in waves. Don't be surprised if things begin to move without your effort. Connections you didn't reach out for will arrive. Emails you didn't expect will hit your inbox. Opportunities will find you. This is how the overflow works. It flows into every corner of your life, not just your finances. Relationships, environments, ideas, they all start to align once God marks your moment. And right now, you are in that moment. The banks are not used to this. Their systems weren't built to comprehend spiritual timing. They move based on history. They decide based on numbers. But your life doesn't follow the patterns of history, it follows the voice of God. He whispered now. And what was once impossible became inevitable. And because they don't understand it, they'll try to make sense of it. Let them. You don't need to participate in their confusion. You don't owe anyone an explanation for a miracle. This is what happens when heaven funds a soul. The glory disrupts the grid. The divine interrupts the routine, and all the watchers can do is watch. What they'll witness is nothing short of historic. Because the scale of this shift is not ordinary. It's not small. It's not incremental. It's monumental. It's wealth that doesn't just elevate you. It elevates your bloodline. It's favor that doesn't just open a door. It redesigns the building. Understand this. You are now a carrier of kingdom economy. What flows to you isn't meant to stop with you. You are a conduit, a vessel of divine circulation. And that's why God could trust you with this. He saw your heart when you had nothing. He saw how you still gave, how you still hoped, how you still praised. That's what qualified you. Not perfection, not connections, not credentials, just a heart that wouldn't quit. Now, the bank has no choice but to honor what heaven released. Your name is stamped with divine legitimacy. Every alert, every deposit, every notification that hits your phone from this point on carries prophetic weight. These aren't just digital numbers. These are manifestations of spoken promises. These are echoes of prayers you whispered in darkness. You prayed for this during breakdowns. You visualized this while wiping your tears. You believed for this while being mocked. And now all of heaven is responding with a resounding yes. You've stepped into your yes season. The gates are open. The policies have shifted. The delay has been reversed, and all of it is underwritten by God. Some will call it luck. Others will say you were just in the right place at the right time. But you know better. You know the battle you fought to get here. You know the days you were close to giving up. You know the spiritual warfare that intensified right before this breakthrough. That was not coincidence. That was confirmation. Confirmation that something massive was scheduled to drop. And now it's dropped. And the impact is bigger than you realize. Because this blessing wasn't just for survival, it's for structure. God is rebuilding you from the inside out. With every alert, he's healing trauma. With every increase, he's erasing shame. With every transfer, he's restoring years that were stolen. You're not just watching the miracle, you are the miracle. And as you walk through this moment, know that nothing will be the same. Not your environment, not your relationships, not your access, not your name. Because when God elevates, he also separates. Some connections won't survive this shift. Some people were only assigned to your life during the drought, not the downpour. Let them go with grace. Your focus now is forward. Your role now is expansion. Your mission now is alignment. Because this isn't just about financial overflow, it's about divine order. The order that was always meant to govern your life. The order that got interrupted by fear, doubt, and delays. But now it's reinstated, and nothing can stop it. They'll talk, they'll wonder, they'll try to understand, but they won't be able to because no one saw this coming. Not your enemies, not your friends, not even the bank. Every second from this point forward is running on a different clock, God's clock. You're no longer operating in delay. You're operating in divine deployment. The countdown already hits 0 in the spirit. That transfer was not just about provision. It was about your release. You've been released into the dimension where overflow doesn't just visit, it resides. The notifications you're about to see will reflect that. And not even the most sophisticated banking systems will be able to explain what they're seeing, because this wasn't supposed to happen. At least not according to them. The calculations didn't include this outcome. The status reports had you labeled as not ready, not qualified, or low activity. But what the bank didn't measure, what the system couldn't predict, was the authority of God's command. When he says it's time, every gate opens. When he signs the release, it doesn't go through man's approval. It flows through heaven's current and lands directly in your hands. You've stepped into territory that was once only dreamed of. But dreams have become deposits. Visions have become visible. And now reality is shaped not by effort, but by alignment. You're in alignment with heaven. And that alignment doesn't just open doors, it breaks walls. That's why things are happening fast. That's why the amounts seem unexplainable. That's why the origin is listed as unknown or unverified, because it came from the highest source. And that source doesn't submit documentation, it submits evidence. You are the evidence. You are the headline. You are the alert. The miracle that no one could forecast, the anomaly that experts can't explain. And you're not an accident. You are the manifestation of a move that was orchestrated long before the bank was even founded. God's economy existed before currency had a name. His vaults have no shortage, no delay, no denial. When he decides, it appears. This is why the spiritual warfare was so intense before this moment. The enemy knew something was being finalized. That's why everything started breaking, stalling, shaking. You weren't being punished. You were being positioned. The pressure was proof, the silence was sacred, and now the seal is broken, and the release is irreversible. Chosen one. Let that sink in. Irreversible. No force can reverse this decision. No hand can reach high enough to grab what was released over your life. No system can retract what God has deployed. You have been approved in realms your enemies don't have access to. Your name was spoken in heavenly meetings, and when heaven votes in your favor, earth must obey. The system may still be trying to verify the numbers, but God already verified your identity. The approval didn't come because of your income. It came because of your inheritance. You are an heir, a carrier of divine wealth. And with that wealth comes divine weight, spiritual weight, generational weight, prophetic weight. This is not just about you receiving, it's about you carrying something that shakes atmospheres. You've been chosen to disrupt the norm, to redefine what's possible, to introduce overflow to places that have only known drought. That's why it happened the way it did. Suddenly, quietly, then loudly. This is the pattern of divine elevation. First the silence, then the storm. First the pruning, then the pouring. And now the pouring has begun. You're going to see money move in ways you didn't initiate. Accounts will start to reflect figures you didn't request. Emails will reference funds you didn't apply for. And yet, it will all be legal. It will all be correct. It will all be yours. Because heaven doesn't glitch. Heaven doesn't error. Heaven doesn't make accidental deposits. Everything that's coming to you was always yours. God just held it until the perfect time. And this is that time. This is why your dreams feel louder. Why? Your spirit is vibrating with anticipation. You're not crazy. You're calibrated. You're tuned into a higher signal. And that signal is transmitting wealth, clarity, instructions. You'll begin to know where to go, who to connect with, what to release, and what to build. Because this is not just a financial change. It's a full blueprint unfolding. You've graduated without ceremony, promoted without announcement, and now the results are about to speak louder than any introduction ever could. The same people who underestimated you will witness your overflow, but it won't come with arrogance. It'll come with awe. Because you won't just be wealthy. You'll be different, radiant, whole, directed by something higher than strategy, moved by something deeper than motivation. You'll begin to feel heaven move through you. Even your ideas will start to carry more weight. Your voice will begin to unlock things in people. Your presence will provoke transformation. This is what happens when you become more than blessed. You become chosen. And the chosen don't just receive. They carry. They build. They shift culture. They disarm fear. They break old cycles. They fund futures. Your bank account is just the beginning. The true wealth is what's being activated in your soul. That knowing, that clarity, that spiritual velocity, it will start to invade every room you walk into. People won't know why, but they'll feel different when they're near you. That's because your financial elevation came with spiritual elevation. You didn't just rise in digits, you rose in dimension, and that dimension is holy ground. Everything you touch from here forward will carry divine fingerprints. Every deal, every opportunity, every transaction, you won't just participate, you'll dominate. Because what God has placed in your hands now, not even the bank saw it coming.